Mr. President, distinguished guests, a very good morning, everyone. We're all excited today for the launch of the Philanthropy Asia Alliance, the culmination of months of building and co-creating the alliance with our diverse and ambitious members from around the world. PAA is driven by the immense opportunity to mobilize collective action to catalyze and scale Asian solutions for the world. Together, we harness our strengths and forge new pathways to make the impossible possible. Today, we bring you the voices of the Alliance. Each of our members on this panel will share more about the exciting and impactful work that they do and how we can advance our efforts together. Let's do this in alphabetical order of organizations represented, starting with Gagi, on my right. What is the focus of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? Could you tell us about a program you've implemented in Asia, key learnings, and how you can bring this to a platform such as PAA to scale and amplify impact?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Mr. President, for being here. It's a pleasure. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is just about over 20 years old. So we're out of our awkward teenager phase into young adulthood, I guess. And we really have remained focused on our core issues from the beginning. We started as Bill Gates was completing his career at Microsoft, ready to think more about global giving. And Bill and Melinda started with a focus on global health. They realized through their own travels that children around the world, particularly in Africa and Asia, were dying of completely preventable diseases. And it started us on a path that has taken us to immunization, new tools in the fight against malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, maternal health. But as we got deeper into the communities where we were working, we started to think more about lives and livelihood. And that has taken us to smallholder agriculture, financial inclusion, the lives of women, and the particular challenges women face connecting to economies and societies, sanitation. So today our model is very focused on innovation. We believe philanthropy has a unique role to play in taking some risks, developing new approaches, new products, and then bringing that innovation really to the base of the pyramid so that the benefits of digital livelihoods, the benefits of new scientific breakthroughs are not reserved for the wealthiest, but are actually accessible to everyone. So some of that work has really come to life here in Asia. To give you a couple of examples, we have, for many years, we have supported the development of innovation in the life sciences around the continent, from India to Indonesia. And we're thrilled now that many of the world's children are vaccinated, are protected from diseases, from products that come from this continent. And that has been 10 years worth of growth support that is now creating a more stable supply chain, more affordable products, and more importantly is bringing some of the innovation from this continent globally. We have a partnership actually that PAA is involved with the Pathogen Genomics Institute. It's a partnership of Duke and NUS that we're super excited about. You'll hear more about it later today, I think. But this is really the cutting edge of genomic sequencing technology that has now become affordable, accessible, can be used at the community level. And we believe that will allow us to take a next level of knowledge of what is sickening people? What are kids dying of? And that allows us to target treatments, care, prevention in ways that have not been possible so far. So I'm super optimistic about the partnership and look forward to its growth.
Thank you, Gagi. Big focus on health. Over to you next, please, Vinod. Could you tell us about your work at the Chaudhary Foundation and share a program which you can bring to a platform such as PAA?
Thank you so much. We are truly delighted to be part of this alliance. We always felt that alone, no matter how good your intentions are, you can't go too far. And it's also not about money. I think it's about the strengths that an organization brings in. I've said on many occasions that foundation work or philanthropy requires the next degree of entrepreneurial skills to find solutions, to find expertise, to find partnerships, and that can only happen through collaborations. Responding to your question on our work, we've been in existence for about 20 years in Nepal, part of a only multinational business house from Nepal, the Chaudhary Group. I like to talk about education, something which we are very proud of. We're trying to connect most of the Nepalese public school with the digital platform to connect them, to provide them with quality content, provide teacher training tools. And this is how this can be taken as a very important example of a recent partnership we've forged. We've got our telco has laid down the connectivity, the digital platform infrastructure. Another partners of ours is supporting us in providing the hardware at the schools level. You know, these schools, the children can't afford the quality desktops, laptops, etc. There is a company which specializes in making very affordable equipments. And another partner with whom we are in discussion, and they are active in many different parts, they specialize in providing the content. They provide the teachers' training programs. They provide the local content customized. So I think it's a big initiative. Hopefully, the more than 5,000 schools will become a part of this process. But we believe it's doable, and purely because of the alliance and partnerships. I'd like to talk about another initiative which we are working on, which is in terms of the economic empowerment, the social business platform. We are working with the women, and I'm happy to acknowledge our partners, the Gates Foundation, who have joined us in this huge initiative of building employment opportunities for the women through soft skills, through arts, crafts. On one hand, we are helping to preserve the crafts. On the other hand, we are trying to take the Nepalese crafts to many different parts of the world and scale up. Healthcare, another area where we believe we played a significant role during the pandemic. We were able to provide, again, with the Gates Foundation, and we worked together, and our bank's foundation. We provided pediatric ICU wards, which did not exist in Nepal. So in most of the provincial government hospitals, we were able to build those. We were able to help build oxygen plants. And we are working towards creating an infectious disease research center, and more importantly, capability to handle eventualities as it happened unexpectedly during the pandemic. We are equally involved with the youth in providing vocational skills. You know that more than 8 million Nepalese work all over the world, and that's become a third of our GDP. Until such time Nepal is able to create enough job opportunity, I think it helps to take their skills to the next level, and in order to help them earn more and help the country earn more. We are working on the different SDG goals. We are also embarking on a very important initiative to bring in added degree of awareness on this very important issue that the world is facing, and more importantly, the Hindu Kush region, of which there are 8 countries in our region, the Himalayan countries, are facing. The world is talking about controlling the temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius, but even 1.5 degree Celsius, once it reaches there, there'll be no Himalayan snow-capped mountains left. It will impact 1.5 billion population. Already this part of the land mass has the highest degree of malnutrition, highest degree of poverty, and educational challenges. So I think that so many areas where the partnerships under the leadership of Temasek and with the patronage of His Excellency, the newly elected president, can play a deep role. And that's what we look into.
Thank you. Thank you, Binod. One of our members from the UAE, Badr Jafar, is unable to join us live today, but he has pre-recorded a message.
Good day to all and greetings from the UAE. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the Philanthropy Asia Alliance and the Temasek Trust for including me in this important conversation. The goal for this alliance are as ambitious as they are essential. And to help realize them, we will need all of us working together, aligned on our actions and delivering on our commitments. But there is another ingredient to success: philanthropic infrastructure and the networks that are built on it. My philanthropic priority, obsession some might say, is helping to build this infrastructure across global growth markets, including across Asia. I'm so passionate about this because I know how powerful enabling infrastructure and networks can be. They not only link philanthropic communities of individuals, families, and institutions, but they also connect them with other stakeholders, including governments, multilateral organizations, and businesses. My own efforts revolve around building networks and institutions that in turn create this infrastructure. In 2020, I was delighted to partner with the University of Cambridge to launch the Center for Strategic Philanthropy. In 2022, we launched a similar center at NYU Abu Dhabi. And both centers foster a more strategic approach to philanthropy, and I hope to launch at least 2 more centers, one in Africa and one in Southeast Asia, in the coming year. By bringing together philanthropists, institutional givers, business leaders, and policymakers, we explore and share new ways of generating impact, gathering data and insights, and connecting with the next generation of donors. In the area of governance and accountability and transparency, I partnered with the business community in the Gulf region in 2010 to launch the Pearl initiative that helps to drive the business case for corporate governance, including in philanthropic institutions across our region. Another resource fostering transparency is Hasana.org. This digital platform hopes to empower Muslim donors and the hundreds of billions of dollars they donate every year to identify organizations with proven track records of delivering positive outcomes. Another aspect of transparency is effective storytelling, especially in emerging markets. To accelerate this, I partnered with Alliance, the philanthropy and social investment media group that's been active for over 25 years, to train and place philanthropy journalists across the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Now, before I close, I just want to briefly mention one of the greatest opportunities for philanthropic intervention in this region and globally: climate and nature. As many will know, the UAE is preparing for a global gathering on climate, COP28, towards the end of this year, and as the COP28 Special Representative for Business and Philanthropy and Chair of the COP28 Business and Philanthropy Climate Forum on the 1st and 2nd of December, we will strive to elevate the role of business and philanthropy in climate and nature action. Thank you once again, and I hope that many of you will join me and engage in this urgent and exciting work as we move forward together.
So we've heard about climate, health, and education, PAA's 3 anchor mandates. Next up, from Fast Retailing Foundation, and I'm sure all of us here are big fans of Uniqlo. We'd love to hear from Kazumi.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President and Chairman Lim, distinguished speakers and fellow speakers and participants of today's summit. It is a privilege for us to be here with you, and thank you for your invitation. As you may know, Fast Retailing Foundation has close links to Fast Retailing Group as a business, and we have about 8 brands, and Uniqlo is the biggest among them. We have a philosophy of change the world through our clothing business because we believe that our business cannot sustain without providing solutions and work with communities. We have some programs which is aligned with the PAA, climate, nature, and holistic inclusive education. Just to give you some examples, we have a Grow Tree community project that we have created trees, 200,000 trees in 60 acres in Philippines, and we have also done olive tree implants for the ocean cleaning process. Other activities include holistic and inclusion education. We have been supportive for deaf-blind children and helping them to become more self-reliant through education. We also provide Japanese language programs for the refugee kids in Japan. We also have a long history with UNCHR for 20 years as a global partner, providing emergency relief and the livelihood of support, advocacy, and employment globally for refugees around the world. Also, in Japan, outside of Japan, we provide scholarships at the Asian University of Women in Bangladesh because we have some production bases in these areas. These are some examples of how we could be helpful in the society, and through with our business processes, we believe we can be contributive to PAA.
Thank you, Kazumi. And over to you now, Fred.
Yeah. I suppose I first want to congratulate and for the leadership government is providing. This tripartite collaboration has been taught for decades, but this is the best impact hub that I participated and most hopeful one because a government strong leadership is needed. In fact, in a world where leadership is really problematic, this is very hopeful for me. I joined because I think the only way to do it is as was outlined by Desmond Quack's thing, the 4P plus partnership. So the ultimate solution for sustainability, for human flourishing, is love itself. And love for humanity, and that scale is needed for all to save Earth. So number one, that's why I joined. It is very important. For my family and ourselves, we have many nonprofit, from personal to family to corporate. We joined from the corporate side because, and we have 3 nonprofit in the corporate, one on Restore Nature, and this one is under number 17 Foundation, which is to promote partnership so that we can solve complex problems, not so much for scale, but creating model that we need great partnership and project skills to solve complex problems. The other hope that I have, which dearest to me, is transformation, because we do a theory of change based on shifting consciousness. As we shift consciousness, it is actually shifting our journey from I to we. To see that I am in we, and ultimately, I am we, which is love, that we're not separable. And only love can solve all problems. And love for humanity is going to be a way of living for humanity in the future. True impact, changing mindsets, changing habits, changing the pen who would write it. Well, I have to say, I'm also a person that born in the 50s. I watch consumerism. I watch Gecko, the movie, saying greed is good in Wall Street. I watch and participating in creating this market economy. Sadly say, one that's driven by greed and egocentric self-interest. Totally misunderstood what Adam Smith of the invisible hand means, enlightened self-interest. And so here, the root of our problem of sustainability is caused, as beautifully demonstrated last night dinner. We took a pen and we wrote the wrong story. So today, the most important is shifting consciousness to correct this beautiful, best system I've ever seen of freedom, democracy, and equality, the free market. Except we need to correct it. Then not only will we solve the problem of sustainability that we create, we will flourish as a new civilization. So for me, my transformation project, which we used to transform ourselves, the Octave Institute, which has the root into 1990s East-West Center for Cultural Research on Sustainability, is what I'm most hopeful we can scale.
Thank you, Fred. Kashin, we'd love to hear about the work at the QuantEdge Foundation.
Okay, thanks, Yok Hui. So for now, the main focus of QuantEdge is on social mobility. And to make things interesting for the audience, instead of talking about what we have done, maybe I'll highlight two initiatives that we are in the process of cooking up, which may be of interest to PAA members. So first, sending children to boarding school has always been the preserve of the upper class. And as we know, boarding school typically start at age 13. But in some large cities in China, we noticed that parents are sending their kids to boarding school at a much younger age. In fact, recently we hired an intern who went to a boarding kindergarten in Ningbo, a first-tier city in China. And her happiest memories that she told us is spending all her time in the kindergarten's library, reading comic books. Our hypothesis is that we can greatly uplift the lives of children from very disadvantaged background if we can provide them with a safe and loving environment for most of the week, or the entire week, if both their parents are incarcerated or have to work weekends. Boarding schools for the underprivileged is not a new idea. We have the seed schools in the US, or the internat d'excellence in France. But at QuantEdge, we want to push the envelope further, like our Singapore pioneers. Why start at age 13 when bad habits may have formed, or kids may have fallen into bad company, or they've been scarred by trauma? Let's give these children a chance that their upper class counterparts have by starting at grade 1 or even younger at kindergarten level. We are doing this not only because we think it's a morally right thing to do, but we also truly believe that the benefits to the state can outweigh the costs, saving taxpayers' money over the long run. The kids do not only benefit, I think we can also unlock the potential in the parents too. For example, they can start working again instead of staying at home relying on state assistance. So QuantEdge is ready to put in serious money to try it out, gather hard data to prove our hypothesis, and we welcome PAA members to join us on our journey. But be warned that this is a project that will take time and patience to set up and also to see through. Second, QuantEdge wants to set up a research institute for social mobility. Not theoretical research, but practical applied research. You see, social mobility happens to be a problem that is multifaceted and also highly localized. A set of issues facing social mobility in Singapore is quite different from the issues facing Japan. A universal basic income program that may work well in the US can fall flat on its face in Singapore because of differences in cultural sensitivities or the state of social infrastructure. So what we try to do is do a lot of research to show that policymakers who may want to embark on ambitious social projects, but they are too averse to taking on these social projects first. They want to see some initial successes without taking a risk with taxpayers' money. So we welcome PAA members who join on this journey. We are willing to put down risk capital in the form of research grants, test it out, And if it works, maybe policymakers will find it useful and take it up. Like Temasek Trust funding the operating costs of the Alliance, what Quantage will try to do is to fund the operating costs of the Research Institute, hiring professors, researchers, and whatnot. What we need from you are your creative ideas and your willingness to put down risk capital to try it out in the form of research grants. Thank you.
So 2 initiatives for PA members to collaborate with Quantage on a boarding school project and the Social Mobility Research Institute. Shifting gears now to Bernard from Cinemas.
Thank you, Seok Hui. First, let me just thank our president for being here. Your presence, first official function, has obviously honored the entire organization. Cinemas is a multi-industry corporation that's founded in Indonesia. We've been very fortunate to grow with Asia across the decades, and today, obviously, we owe a significant amount to this dynamic region. So we're very happy to be part of this philanthropic organization that focuses on Asia. For businesses to thrive, obviously societies around us also need to thrive. And over the years, in developing Indonesia, Cinemas has been a big contributor to society there. We've been involved in building schools, we've been involved in building hospitals. Very recently in the COVID crisis, we helped many, many people in terms of their healthcare in order to advance society there. But really, at the end of the day, the challenges that we are facing now on this planet requires scale. And the biggest defining challenge that we have is climate change. And this is something that we, in joining this organization, has chosen to focus on. An archipelagic state like Indonesia probably will have the most significant impact of climate change. We will suffer from rising sea levels that will affect a lot of the coastal settlements that we have. Drier seasons will affect crop yields, floods will affect societies, and most importantly, as many people in Singapore are aware, especially now, there's devastating fires that take place across the archipelago every dry season. Large companies are important because of the impact that we can make. And in Cinemas, we obviously want to have that impact. But as a whole, if we all join hands together, we need to move from just small impact to really global scale kinds of impact. And that's really what we seek in terms of trying to get our organization going forward. I just want to introduce 2 projects that we've been thinking about that we invite people to join us on a journey. I know there are many scientists here, people from, that are concerned about climate change, foundations that can also help in this effort. The first is to tackle the threat of forest fires. Unknown to many people, it remains the single deforester in the world. If you look at pictures that across the world, in Europe, in America, over 9 million hectares of forest cover has been lost. It's no use if we restore 1 million and then we lose 9 million to fires. And all indications are that this threat will continue to rise as the temperature of the planet heats up. So we really need to take action to combat the threat of forest fires. We intend to do this in an intelligent way. We're going to try to develop fire risk maps as well as models that will apply data that we gather across seasons so that we can concentrate resources both in combating as well as preventing the fires from taking place. We intend to see this obviously in Indonesia, where terrain is tropical, and obviously this can be shared to combating fires both in Africa as well as the Amazon basin that also faces a significant amount of fire threat. So that's one area that we'll do. The second is reducing carbon through 2 methods, obviously reducing emissions, but also in sequestration. So we're looking at projects in which we can sequester carbon, given the fact that in tropics, there's huge potential. There's one project that the Golden Agri is looking at, and that is to persuade smallholders whose yields on wetlands, let's say for example they're growing palm oil, is actually tremendously low, to actually go from being producers of palm oil to being conservationists by restoring the land to the original condition and leveraging on the carbon credits as a means of income. This project we also intend to start within the next few months, and hopefully again there will be many members in the audience that will be enthused by these projects. We invite you to join us. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bennett. Turning to my left, Satrio, could you tell us about the Tanoto Foundation?
Thank you. Tanoto Foundation was founded by Mr. Sukanto Tanoto and Mrs. Tina Bingai Tanoto 42 years ago in Indonesia. Today, we operate in Indonesia, Singapore, and China with the belief that actually quality education will accelerate equal opportunity. We focus in education. Education in a larger scale, meaning that from the early childhood, actually Indonesia is from the -9 months because we also address stunting, basic education, and also tertiary education and beyond. We invest and also harness the power of quality education to improve people's life. When I say we invest, that means it has to yield results. In business, the result is profit and ROCE, or return on capital employed. In philanthropy, it's impact. So I say that the impact actually is the language of philanthropy. In Indonesia, for example, we address stunting and also the quality of the capacity of the teachers. In stunting, we're working together in partnership with the World Bank, UNICEF, and also with Gates Foundation. We managed to, with the government of Indonesia, we managed to reduce the stunting rate from previously 9 years ago, 37.8%, today is 21.6%. I think there's a very nice achievement of impact. For the teachers' quality or improvement of the teachers' capacity, in Indonesia, with comparing the schools that we intervene versus the schools that we do not intervene, 38.8% improvement of the students. That's another impact. Another example is in China, for example, where we address the early childhood education from 0 to 3 years old. We compare also the one that we intervene and the one that we do not intervene. And the cognitive and the language and also the social emotional improvement is very, very clear. So here the impact is clear. However, for example, in Indonesia, we partner with 25 districts in Indonesia out of 5 provinces for the improvement of the teacher quality. Now, Indonesia has 514 districts with 300,000 schools. So that means it's minute, right? So this is where platforms like PAA can scale up also the impact. Also, we found out that actually in this region, we also share similar, I would say, gaps and also needs. So last year, we presented in PAS the CTA for the early childhood. So therefore, we wish that we can also replicate this in the region. So PAA is a platform also for cross-learning. That's what thank you.
Thank you, Satrio. Cheryl, we're excited to learn more about the UBS Optimus Foundation's plans to work with PAA.
Thank you, and I'm so incredibly grateful to be here. Thank you very much. So UBS's kind of stated purpose, and this is firm-wide, global, across everything, is to reimagine the power of investing and connect people for a better world. And nowhere for me is this more true and lived the furthest than the Optimus Foundation, the UBS Optimus Foundation. And that's because, sort of over time, over almost 25 years now, we've spent time, we've got about over 100 cross-disciplinary impact experts around the globe who are building skills, expertise, partnering with clients and impact organizations around the world through now a 370 project portfolio across 80 countries to really sort of drive the notion of building an impact economy that truly values kind of people and planet to the same degree of importance that we do kind of currently in the system around financial profit. And for us, this sort of, kind of the team that I'm part of, the most exciting things and that really do also, of course, resonate with PAA and why we're so excited to be part of the initiative and alliance are around blended finance and around collectively, really collaborating truly in a structured, systematic way for greater impact. And on the blended finance front, in the last few years, we've been delighted to sort of launch a $100 million SDG outcomes initiative that essentially, sort of blends philanthropic capital that de-risks and acts as a first loss guarantee to support the private capital, commercial capital, that overall 100 million goes towards supporting vulnerable children and adults across the developing world. And this is really just the start, and I think, together with all of you, with PAA, the potential for blended finance excites us enormously. And on the second point around collective and collaborative philanthropy, what we've really been trying to do is kind of bring clients together with impact organizations, with experts to help drive systemic impact in those areas where they are most passionate. So, of course, we would absolutely be delighted to sort of, and we are already actually working with PAA on a number of these initiatives around, particularly in Southeast Asia, of course, the most relevant to everybody here, around catalyzing and enabling a much better functioning blue carbon market and economy across Southeast Asia so that we can, sort of provide that value that an ordinary shrimp farmer needs to see in order to stop cutting down the mangroves for sustaining their livelihoods and instead restore and conserve them. So incredibly sort of exciting stuff. Hopefully, lots going on, lots to come. But we've been a partner to PAA, I think, since the inaugural summit in 2021 through the M40 Mangrove 40 initiative with 2 million. And then another 2 million for Asia Higher Education Innovative Financing Facilities in 2022. And now absolutely delighted to be part of you this year as well as a core.
Thank you. And we're very grateful for your support. And we look forward to working closely together. So last but not least, the Wellcome Trust is an established leader in the health space. And Paul, we'd like to hear about your work.
Thank you. So Wellcome has been around for about over a century, actually, in different forms. So we're a venerable institution. Right now, we operate at quite considerable scale, always focused on health, and we operate worldwide. We probably put about $2 billion a year into health research and action worldwide. If I come down one level into the region, there must be of the order of 2,500 or 3,000 people on the ground in different parts of the region, notably in Southeast Asia and in South Asia, doing different things to do with health of different sorts. I'd like to extend my similar thanks to other colleagues here on the panel for the support in this initiative from the President of Singapore and also Chairman Lim from your organisation in setting up the Alliance. It's a very important initiative and we're very happy to be a part of it. And actually, in conversations, even in the last 24 hours, we've noticed and we've spotted some linkages and potentials for collaboration in a very practical way already for some of our work. So let me illustrate some of the things that this work does. We've got quite a significant program that operates in Vietnam. It's been there for about 30 years. And you'll note in everything I say, there's a strong theme of commitment over long periods of time for impact. And our typical mode is to fund things in the long term and to fund the core of activities. And we're very happy to have people, as it were, launch themselves on the back of infrastructure we're investing in already. In fact, that happens a lot. So an example would be this. If you were unfortunate enough to contract as an adult tetanus, and this happens quite a lot in the region actually, because despite the fact that there's widespread childhood immunisation, adults tend not to re-immunise. Particularly men tend not to re-immunise. Women often do because they become, around pregnancy they might be immunised. But if you're unlucky enough to get tetanus and for it to advance, this nasty bacterial disease to advance to a serious state, then almost certainly the best place in the world to be treated is in the Hospital for Tropical Diseases in Ho Chi Minh City. It's not in the Cedars Sinai Medical Centre or in the UCLH in London. And that's because over 30 years they've refined and modified their treatment regimes in a scientific fashion for impact. Similarly, if you're unlucky enough to contract multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, you could do a lot worse than seek treatment in Mae Sot in the northwest of Thailand, where alongside other programs in malaria and in maternal health has been an extensive period of work over, in this case, nearly 40 years, addressing ways of treating that condition. So these things all take time. There's lots of collaboration in there. In every case I've described, there are many different parties acting together. I was very interested in conversations with Dr. Chowdhury last night to note that there may be a potential for collaboration in a very pragmatic way alongside some of the work he's been interested in with respect to infectious disease in Nepal, where we've been operating for probably 15 years in exactly that field, in infection in Nepal, building clinical capacity locally for treatment and for the advancement of science. But there are many other examples of this, and we are, as it were, open for business in people who'd like to use our infrastructure and investments for their own impact. We're here for the long term. We're here at scale, and we're absolutely delighted to have been invited to participate in the Alliance. So thank you very much.
Many inspiring stories and many new ideas as to what's possible when we work together as an alliance. I'm filled with optimism of the promise of what we can achieve together. Well, all good things must come to an end, and our time for this session is nearly up. So I'd like to wrap up with one sentence from each of our members on what motivated you to join PAA and what your aspirations are for the Alliance. Cheryl, let's start with you, please.
The shared values and vision around fostering trust, connectivity, collaboration to really build that impact economy.
Paul?
Yes, I'm with Cheryl on the trust and the general sense of us working on this together. And for us also, just very pragmatically, opportunities for collaboration to make things happen. As I mentioned earlier, we're already seeing seeds of that even in these early stages, which is fantastic.
Satrio?
There is this very much alignment between what the mandate of PAA mission and also of Thanoto Foundation. And our wish actually is that being a member of PAA, we can partner together. So let's address to scale up whatever we need to do in philanthropy work in Asia. And let's also develop an ecosystem for philanthropy that can be very, very endurance. And at the same time, we can produce the sustainable and the real impact for all of us. Thank you.
Vinod?
Business and philanthropy are interdependent in our view. There has to be profit with a purpose, and you can't do it alone. Therefore, our influence, our resources, and our expertise need to be brought together. Therefore, we need to collaborate.
Thank you. Gargi?
Well, for us, the opportunity to give collaboratively with others has always grown our impact from project level to sort of systems and scaled impact. So we're here because we see that potential here in this room and look forward to finding it.
Thank you. Bernard?
Just two sentences. First, to raise our climate ambition, and second, to have scale and impact. I think that's critical at this present pace in our time and history. Thank you.
For me, I hope the model of planet, Earth, peace, and progress, as we progress, we read it reverse. Progress, peace, people, climate, and dance both ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Kashin?
I would say the aspiration is to uplift the poor and the disadvantaged and to create a future of optimism and solidarity in Asia.
And Kazumi?
Yes, we have been working on people's issues, planet issues, and community issues. And we've been doing a lot by ourselves, but this is really first time to be part of our alliance. So I look forward to sharing our experience and some talents, but also looking forward to collaborating with you and bringing more importantly, scaling to the community. So that's why we aspire to be part of Alliance.
Thank you. So trust, collaboration, dream bigger, scale, impact for a better world. For me, it will be together we go further, faster. Thank you, everyone.